It actually reminds me of that 15-16.
How'd you get that mixed with your combo?
These fries and rings?
At BK, you can build your combo.
Frozen Coke, too?
Yep, sides and drinks, too. BK.
In training camp, Benny Johnson was the best guard in training camp for about 3-4 years straight. And then, in practice, he was improving every day.
Hey, it's Jonas Knox. Worn-out tires are a danger to you, your passengers, and other drivers. TireRack.com reminds you to inspect your tires regularly. Grab a quarter, stick it in the tread. If you can see the top of Washington's head, it's time to replace. Go to my page, TireRack.com/sports. Use the Tire Decision Guide to find the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. Choose from the full line of Michelin tires and tread confidently. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing.
Although we're marketing at a very broad scale, it does include specific local markets, and that's the beauty of iHeart's network.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
To the sky as the Blazers lead by 4. Timeout, Memphis. 112-108, 39 seconds remain in overtime.
All right, what's going on, my friends? It's Blazers Game Day. I am your host, Chad Doing. And it's great to be with you on this hideous Sunday afternoon in the Northwest. This is, for me, the worst time of the year. A lot of rain. We changed back the clocks, less daylight, and basically no golf, except for indoor practice. But I'm very happy to be here on a awesome sports weekend as we get ready for a little Trailblazer basketball tonight at Moda Center. And the Trailblazers, surprisingly, have won 3 straight ball games heading into the game tonight. It's a rematch with the Memphis Grizzlies. Tip-off from Moda is coming up at 6 o'clock, and I'll be with you all the way up until 5. You can also join me on our YouTube stream right now. Just go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you'll see the live link right there. Click to subscribe, and coming up here in a couple of days on Tuesday, all of our local programming, Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers, Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. Courtside Mondays, also Blazers Game Day in fifth quarter, will be live streamed. So you can join us via YouTube if you want. We're always going to be on radio. And the cool thing about YouTube is you can jump in on the YouTube chat as well. All right, let's talk about these Portland Trailblazers. Very exciting to see this team kind of fight, scratch, and claw their way to 3 straight wins, and now 3-3 early in the season as they get ready for this rematch tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies, which is Game 2 in this new NBA in-season tournament. So the Trailblazers, you know, the way they're winning games right now is different than what we've seen over the last several years. They're actually winning games with their defense. They're winning games right now with their scrap, with their energy, with their youthful exuberance. And multiple guys over the last 3 games have stepped up to make game-winning plays. So I really like what I'm seeing from this group, but I think the most exciting part in the 3 wins for me, and you might disagree, but I think it's the emergence of the youth that has really spearheaded this 3-game win streak. And that starts with Shaedon Sharpe. And what was really cool in this game on Friday that went into overtime, you know, Shaedon Sharpe did not shoot the ball extremely well, but he attacked. He was in attack mode, and it was Shaedon Sharpe who made the plays late in the game. He hit a couple of big free throws to even up the game, and then came up with that awesome block at the end of regulation, which allowed the Blazers to get into overtime and win the game. He also hit a pretty dope step-back 3 in the overtime period. But in that process, you may have seen this, it's the veteran players who are embracing this youth movement. They're stepping back and allowing the youngster Shaedon Sharpe to really take over. And I think it's really awesome. And they know that Shaedon Sharpe's got the ability to be a dynamite basketball player. So to see guys like Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, or Malcolm Brogdon take a back seat to allow Shaedon to use his athleticism and his abilities to attack, and in the case on Friday, get to the foul line and tie up the game. And then he got out of position on defense, but recovered and made a sweet block on Luke Kennard. It's great because this is all about the development of the youth, and they're getting timely play from some of the veterans on the squad. And what we saw on Friday, that lineup that closed out the game and went into overtime, it had a nice mixture of youth and also experience. Malcolm Brogdon played big minutes in that game on Friday. He's one of the veterans. Jeremy Grant scored the ball well. He's one of the vets. And then, of course, DeAndre Ayton, who has really played well over the last couple of ball games. And then you had the 2 youngsters, Tamani Kamara and Shaedon Sharpe. And that group is the one that, you know, won the game. It closed out the game. It was paramount in the overtime period. And it was the youth that spearheaded it with Shaedon Sharpe leading the way. Now, when I talk about multiple guys making game-winning plays, this has kind of been the recipe over the last few games. Brogdon in the win on Friday, 24 points and 10 assists. He did not shoot the ball well, but he was a playmaker and effective when they needed him to be. Shaedon Sharpe, 22 points, 5 rebounds. He connected on 7 from 17 from the field, 22 points, 5 rebounds, but made big plays when he had to. DeAndre Ayton has been terrific. 16 points, 12 boards, and just active. Had a couple of assists. His length, his size, his athleticism has been a difference maker. And then you had Jeremy Grant, who was able to score a team-high 26 points. And then they got valuable minutes off the bench from Tamani Kamara, who played 31 minutes in the game. His length, his effort defensively, I mean, he is just applying pressure on the coaches to find ways to get him into the game. Now, we'll hear from Matisse Thybulle. Tamani opened up the second half starting. He was with the starting lineup in the second half when it began. And I thought, well, that makes sense to me because Tamani Kamara is making more of an impact. But according to Matisse, he wasn't feeling well. We know that Shaedon Sharpe's got a cold. So I think Coach Billups was just trying not to overload Tease. But Tamani Kamara deserves more minutes. He's earning those minutes with his play, and I want to see more of that. Now, the crazy part about the Trailblazers, and many of you may not know this, but through 6 games, and I mentioned this before the year began, my expectation for them offensively was to take a nosedive because they didn't have a lot of shooters on the roster, and especially with Anthony Simons out of the lineup, they don't have guys that can make threes. So one of my expectations was we would see them take a nosedive in terms of three-point shooting. And that's exactly what's happened. They are dead last in the league right now in three-point shooting. 29% from the game per game. 29% from three. That's awful. And it's difficult to win games like that in the NBA unless you're able to go out and play defense, which they've done. So the Blazers right now in offensive rating, next to last in the NBA, and they're dead last in three-point shooting. Think about that. 29th in the league in offensive rating. But defensively right now through 6 games, and it's early, so, we don't know what they're going to be as a team defensively, but we're seeing signs of life. They are top 10, number 9 right now as we interplay today in defensive rating. And who would have thought you get a team with more athleticism, youth, and more length, and guess what? You got a better defensive team. What a concept. Wow, you don't roll out there with an undersized lineup and you have guys who are more defensive-minded, and guess what? Success. So that's good. That's a good thing. I do know one thing. The offense with the Blazers shooting such a poor percentage, it's not sustainable. So at some point, they're going to need a boost in their offense, and they're going to need some improvement in their three-point shooting. I just don't know if they're really going to get that. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I know everyone's excited. I'm excited because I like what I see. But just remember that this year is not about wins and losses. And I know a lot of you don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. It's about player development. So what we're looking for game to game is the incremental growth in a variety of different areas. That could be with the young guys like we're seeing with Shaedon Sharpe or Scoot Henderson or Tamani Kamara. Jabari Walker in year number 2 is providing essential minutes off the bench with his energy and his willingness to defend. I think also it's a matter of, are we starting to see or get an idea of what these guys are being asked to do by the coaches on both ends? And over the last couple of games, especially on offense, there's been better structure. So credit to the coaching staff for that. And then defensively, clearly the message is getting through. And I think Thybulle said that the coaches did a good job in camp and obviously here at the start of the season, emphasizing the importance of defense. And Coach Billups is, continuing to relay that to the youngsters, guys like Sharpe and Scoot, saying, hey, I want you to be great. I believe in you. I want you to be great. But in order to be great, you cannot be a one-way player. You've got to get it done on both ends so that you don't become a target by other teams who will take a look at you and say, yeah, he doesn't defend. We can exploit that. So he's encouraging guys to take ownership defensively and go out there and really put in the effort. And so that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing some growth. We're seeing the youngsters make an impact, and we're seeing better structure team-wise on both sides of the floor. So that's where we're at. But I want to caution you not to get too caught up in the 3 straight wins, 1, because of competition, and 2, because the offensive numbers and the way they're playing offense right now is not sustainable for long-term success. But that's okay because it's about the development. So just keep that in mind. Now, there's a lot of talk about the roster and this and that or whatever. So I'll make this mention again. Don't get too attached to the veterans that are on the roster right now. The great part about Joe Cronin and the Trailblazers with their situation and where they're at, is they've got a great situation where they've got these veterans on the roster and they have pieces that other teams will deem valuable, especially as we get closer to the trade deadline. Guys like Malcolm Brogdon, it could be a Robert Williams, it could be a Matisse Thybulle, it could be a Jeremy Grant. I mean, take your pick. So if I'm Joe Cronin, I'm not in a rush to make any type of a move. I'm just going to sit back and see what comes. What offers come my way with some of the veterans that I have as we continue to retool the roster and restock the cupboard with valuable assets that can help us build this team into what we want it to be. And that's a good place to be. No pressure, but you can sit back and wait and be patient to see what offers come their way. So, I mean, this is all good. You got assets that you can retool the franchise with. We can sit back and watch to see how the coaching staff does in terms of their teaching and relaying the information and the message to the players. How do they respond? And then game to game, the incremental growth that we see from the young players who are getting a chance to play. Now, I do have an injury update. Scoot Henderson is out again tonight. He's got the right ankle sprain. As I mentioned before, from what I've been told, it's not serious, but he was sore after he injured the ankle. And the Blazers, this is probably smart to keep him out because after the game today, the Blazers only play 2 more games all of next week. And they're off until Wednesday when they'll be in Sacramento to play the Kings. So this is a good spot. Give him another night off. Allow him to get more rest. And my guess would be he'll be back in action and ready to roll for the game on Wednesday against Sacramento. So, yeah, this is good. I like where the Blazers are at. I think it's pretty exciting. And I like to see the young guys making impacts down the stretch. I like the way the vets have embraced that and are encouraging the young guys. And that's good leadership. And we're seeing some of the other guys start to emerge after a slow start, especially with the first 3 games. DeAndre Ayton's coming along. Shaedon Sharpe has responded to the opportunity to be in the starting lineup. Tamani Kamara continues to make an impact and place pressure on the coaches to get him into games. Jabari Walker's made the most of his minutes and opportunities. Jeremy Grant is starting to score a little bit more. So, again, multiple guys making plays, game-winning plays, and it's making a difference for this team. So, yeah, all in all, it's pretty good. And the good news tonight, Memphis is 0-6. They've got a bunch of issues, so it's an opportunity for the Blazers to try and make it 4 straight. Tip-off is coming up at 6 o'clock. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on Game Day. Here on 620 Rip City Radio, you can join me on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. And you can subscribe to the page, and you'll see the live link right there for Game Day. All right, thanks for your time on this Sunday. Blazers and Grizzlies coming up. It's Game Day here on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for a Blazers Game Day Scoreboard Report, powered by Columbia Heating and Cooling, raising your expectations of comfort.
All right, there's one game in action right now in the association. It's a light night in the NBA. Second quarter in Cleveland. The Cavaliers lead the Warriors 32-30. Golden State hot out of the gate at 5-1. Cleveland at 2-4. Steph Curry has 11 points thus far for the Warriors. Coming up at 4:30, the Hornets are in Big D to take on the Mavericks. Luka Doncic averaging 33 points, 10 boards, and 9 assists. And then at 6 o'clock, the Grizzlies are in Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Memphis favored by 3.5. And also Dallas, a 12.5-point favorite over Charlotte. Two finals from earlier today. In Detroit, the Suns topped the Pistons by a final score of 120-106. Kevin Durant with 41 points in the win. And a final in overtime in San Antonio. The Raptors over the Spurs, 123-116. Scotty Barnes, 30 points, 11 boards, and 6 assists. Keldon Johnson, 26 points for the Spurs in the loss. Taking you through the NFL to get you up to date around the National Football League. Games that are in action right now. 6 minutes to go in the fourth. The Colts lead the Panthers in Carolina 27-13. Fourth quarter in Vegas, Raiders lead the Giants 27-6. Their first game since the firing of Josh McDaniels. Fourth quarter in Philadelphia, Eagles 28, Cowboys 17. Sunday Night Football coming up in Cincinnati. The Bills are taking on the Bengals. Cincinnati favored by 2. Finals from earlier today. Chiefs topped the Dolphins 21-14. Vikings 31, Falcons 28. Browns shut out the Cardinals in Cleveland 27-0. 219 yards and 2 touchdowns for Deshaun Watson. Packers topped the Rams 20-3. Commanders win in New England and beat the Patriots 20-17. New England now 2-7 on the year. Sam Howell had 325 yards passing. Saints topped the Bears 24-17 in New Orleans. Ravens rout the Seahawks 37-3. And the Texans edged the Bucs 39-37. Rookie C.J. Stroud, 470 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. And Monday Night Football tomorrow, the Chargers are in New York to meet the Jets. L.A. is favored by 3.5. And that is your scoreboard report here on Blazers Game Day, with the tip-off of the Blazers and Grizzlies coming up at 6 o'clock from Moda Center. Let's take a listen now to Shaedon Sharpe, 22 points, 5 rebounds in the overtime victory over Memphis on Friday. And he made the key plays down the stretch. The 2 free throws to tie the game. He made the big block on Luke Kennard, had the step-back 3 in overtime. He was all over the place. And after the game, you can hear him. He's a little bit stopped up, has a cold, but he talked about the victory.
Feels good. I mean, right now I feel sick. No, it feels good to get the dub. I feel like, everybody contributed. Everybody did their job and came out competed, so I think we did good.
Are you sick?
Am I sick? Yeah.
Like what kind of sick?
A cold. It's just a cold. That's it.
How long do you feel better?
Probably the second day now, third day.
Still playing 46 minutes in overtime?
No, yeah, it's crazy. I didn't look at the box scores and everything. I see 46. So I had to ask how many minutes is in the game because I was confused playing that long. So, no, it's crazy.
So you talked about this team like they've been grinding out these last 3 months. You guys are down 10 with 3 minutes to go today and pulled it out. What is it about this team that has you guys playing so well late in games?
I mean, we just never give up. We stay the course. Everybody competes, plays hard. We just stay focused. So that's about it.
Shane, can you talk about the block there to send the game forward to him? You covered a lot of ground to get back over.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know how I blocked him because I done lost him, and then I seen the ball go to him, and I recovered, and I just jumped and blocked it.
So you didn't even really see he had the ball. You just saw it was going that direction.
Yeah, I just seen it, and then I reacted, jumped up, and blocked it. So, yeah.
Was this your first time getting MVP chance?
Yeah, actually, it is. I never got in high school. I didn't play college, so yeah.
Shane, back-to-back games where you just kind of picked your spots in the first half, but in the second half, things are different. You're attacking off ball, you're attacking on ball. getting different reps in different spots. What's different about kind of being in that position, being able to in that spot, and knowing that with Ann out, with Scoot out, there's nobody else. It's got to be you and Malcolm kind of igniting things.
Just trying to, find my spots on the court, and just getting my teammates involved, and just putting pressure on the defense to, react and make plays. So, but big shout out to my teammates trusting me and everything. So, yeah.
There were a few times they got tired of you and like multiple people at you, all pretty big. That's sort of almost like a signal that you're becoming a serious threat in this league. Teams are double teaming you.
Yeah. I'm a basketball player, so when they do that, I just react to it and find an open man. Because if they draw on two, then someone's open. So I just hit the open person and play basketball. So.
You got to love his demeanor. Very calm. He doesn't appear to be stressed out at all. He played a ton of minutes in that game in the overtime period. 46 minutes to lead the way for the Trailblazers. And he came through, making a number of big plays down the stretch. And like he mentioned, too, it's nice to see that his teammates are trusting him to be that guy, which is really cool. But Shaedon Sharpe really emerging before our eyes, and it's great to see. Obviously, the time he got at the end of last year, being the main facilitator, handling the rock, being in a position where teams were attacking him, it obviously helped. And now, going into this year and now getting a situation where Ant's out and he gets a ton of playing time, he's better prepared to deal with that, which is great. So big props to him for stepping up and getting the job done. Also, Matisse Thybulle, who did not play much in the game on Friday. He got the start, played just 18 minutes, had 5 points, but according to him, he wasn't feeling well. But he talks about the defense and the play of the youngsters. Take a listen to Tease following the Blazers' 115-113 overtime win on Friday.
Yeah, typically with young teams, that's their Achilles heel is pulling out games and being able to close things out. So I think just a testament to the young guys being able to step up, and our veteran players really setting an example that they can live up to. This is Tumani's first overtime game in the NBA, and to be able to play with that much poise says a lot about him, and also says a lot about the vets who are coaching him up while they're out there.
What did you think of Shaedon tonight? You love everything, the block shot.
Shaedon's incredible. And on both ends of the court, he's been able to take coaching. He's been able to step up for big plays. It's funny because even before the game, he told me it was going to be a good one. So I'm glad he was able to live up to that.
Any thoughts on the in-season tournament and the court? And did that add anything to it for you, or did you even notice or care?
I think at this point it's so new.
Yeah.
It's just different. I don't think we have no idea what to expect, so we can't really form real opinions. So it's just different.
Did Coach talk to you about switching up to the second half lineup?
No.
He just said it's going to be 2 to start out.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling great today, and I think he was trying not to overload me and let 2 get out there and play a little bit more.
Same thing Shea has.
What does Shea have?
I don't know.
He says he's sick a little bit.
Yeah.
This is his flu game.
Yeah, it must be.
Matisse, that's 3 straight wins for you guys, and you guys have been able to really get after it on the defensive end. Can you talk about your intensity on the defensive end and kind of your mindset going into each game?
That was what everyone was talking about before the season started, right? It was what everyone was talking about when last season ended. Are we going to be able to figure out how to play defense? And so I think the coaches have done a really good job of emphasizing it, and then just the buy-in from all the players, I think, shows.
All right, there's Matisse Thybulle. Yeah, I like him a lot. Good dude, good teammate, very complimentary of Shaedon Sharpe. And I like what he said, too, about the defense, where, the coaches emphasized it, but most importantly, getting buy-in from the rest of the players to commit to that end of the floor to make things happen. And right now they're winning games with their defense. Now, he mentioned the NBA in-season tournament, and I would agree with his assessment. The problem right now is that you have these in-season tournament games that just started, but the players don't understand it, and the NBA, I think, has done a poor job of explaining it to the fans, other than this is an NBA in-season tournament game. So no one's really sure what's going on or what the purpose of the games are. So very simply put, I think what Commissioner Silver is trying to do is he's trying to bring a little soccer element to the NBA And I think what he's trying to do is find some way to add more meaning to these early season NBA games so that maybe people will pay a little bit more attention to games that are on the schedule before Christmas time. Because most people don't really start tuning into the NBA until post-Christmas, and that's when football season winds down and people start to take a look at the NBA games. The problem I have with the NBA in-season tournament is that, really, what's the value? What's the true value of the games? It doesn't change playoff seeding. They're just basically regular season games. It's not going to impact who's going to win the championship. I just don't see the value. That's all. That's all. So basically what you have is you got 6 groups of 5 teams, 3 groups in each conference. For example, the Trailblazers are in Group A, which include the Blazers, the Grizzlies, the Lakers, Utah, and Phoenix. And they're going to play these tournament games during the month of November on Tuesdays and Fridays. So you get 2 home and 2 on the road. And the top 8 of all the tournament games that are played will have quarterfinal games that will be on the home site. And then the semis and the finals will be in Las Vegas. And they've adjusted the schedule. I think there are 80 games on the NBA schedule for each team right now. So what they'll do for the teams that don't make the tournament, they'll add a couple of more games in. And for the teams that make the tournament, those games will be a couple of extra regular season games. And whoever makes it to the final of the in-season tournament will play an extra 83rd game that will not count in the standings. And the big prize really is money. The players, each player on the winning team, whoever takes the in-season tournament, each gets $500,000. And I think the number for the players who are on the losing team in the final of the in-season tournament each get $200,000. So that's the problem. The main prize is money, and NBA fans aren't really too concerned about millionaires making a couple hundred extra grand. It's just not that exciting. So that's basically what's going on with the in-season tournament. And then you got the home courts that we're seeing right now at Moda Center, the city courts and the city jerseys. So, that part's kind of cool just to see what it looks like and with the aesthetics and everything. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on game day. We will hear from Chauncey Billups either from his press conference on Friday or possibly his pregame comments at Moda Center. So we've got that coming up. I've got my Coors Light Cold Hard Facts, and we got our keys to the game as we approach tip-off coming up at 6 o'clock from Moda Center, the Blazers and Grizzlies. I'm with you all the way up until 5 o'clock. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. You can hit me up on X at Chad and Rip City, and make sure to join our YouTube live stream at youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Click and subscribe our page, and then you can join the live link right there. It's game day here on 620 Rip City Radio.
The best performing team requires the best workstations. What's the Scoot is brought to you by Office Furniture Reborn. Need desks, better office chairs, or just the right file cabinet? Office Furniture Reborn has a huge selection of colors and sizes to choose from. So drop by Office Furniture Reborn's huge showroom just off Pacific Highway in 217 or visit www.officefurniturereborn.com.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Blazers rookie Scoot Henderson. First off, the injury update. According to the Trailblazers injury report, Scoot Henderson is out tonight with the right ankle sprain. Probably the wise move because their next game is not until Wednesday. So if you give him the night off, he'll get a few more days of rest before their next game, which is in Sacramento against the Kings. Also, Tamani Kamara is listed as questionable tonight with a wrist injury. So no word on whether or not he is going to play yet, but we know that Scoot is out. Now, I will say this. I think at least from what I've seen from comments from some Blazer fans, I think I defer with some of you. When Scoot is ready to come back and he's healthy, I'm starting Scoot Henderson. I'm starting Scoot Henderson now, and I'm going to continue to start him throughout the entire season. The best way to learn is to play and to get minutes and to learn through your mistakes and grow that way. Scoot Henderson is not a low-level basketball player. He's ultra competitive. I love his demeanor, and he works hard. And he's got great natural skills and abilities. I do not think that bringing him off the bench under any circumstances would make a lot of sense. The future is Scoot Henderson. So the sooner that you can get him through the bumps and the difficulties, the struggles that happen in a rookie's first NBA season, the better off he's going to be. I think what people are wondering is, with the way that some of the youngsters are playing, like Shaedon Sharpe and Tamani Kamara, what do you do with the starting lineup when Anthony Simons is healthy and ready to go? Well, let's just take a look at this. Based on what we've seen thus far, it's pretty clear that Shaedon Sharpe needs to start. He's one of the best players on the team, and you've got to start him. He needs to play, and he needs to be a vital part of their attack. And just like Scoot, you need him on the floor to continue to gain experience and develop. That is absolutely vital to the future of the Portland Trail Blazers. So I'm not taking Shaedon out of the starting lineup. I'm going to continue to start him as well. Now, you've got Anthony Simons, and it's obvious that he's got to start. He's their best player. He is making $25 million a year. So you're absolutely going to play and start Anthony Simons. So what does that mean for the lineup? Well, I don't care what it looks like. I'm playing Shaedon Sharpe. So I'm going to go Scoot, Ant, and Shaedon. And if you got to play Shaedon at the 3, I understand it's not ideal, but I would much rather have him be on the floor getting starter minutes. And I need Scoot out there too. The reason why, it's pretty simple. And this year, as has been defined, and I think most of you would agree with this, it's not about winning games. It's about developing your young players. And as I mentioned before, I think the best way to do that is to play them and play them big minutes and to have them in the starting lineup so they're getting a chance to compete against the best of what these other teams have to offer. Even if that means you lose games and you see nights where guys struggle, it's okay. The reason why I'm not going to start Malcolm Brogdon is not because I don't like Malcolm. I think he's terrific. I actually am surprised and very pleased with his attitude and his approach and the way he's embraced the situation in Portland. I mean, just for a moment, take a step back and think about being Robert Williams or Malcolm Brogdon. You're playing for the Boston Celtics. You're on one of the best teams in the NBA, and you're absolutely in the championship conversation. And you're a veteran, and you've proven that you can play and play at a high level in the league, and then all of a sudden you get shipped out in a trade to Portland on the other side of the country on a team that not only is not competing for a championship, but is in a full-on rebuild. I wouldn't be happy under those circumstances. But Malcolm Brogdon, you know, he's a pro. He's approached it with the proper attitude. He's got the right perspective. He is helping the younger guys on the squad. But he is not part of the future of your Portland Trail Blazers. Not long term. He might be on the team for the rest of the year, and there's a good chance he may not. he is going to be wanted and valued by a lot of other teams around the league. And Joe Cronin's job is to find the best deal possible and to get the most in return for Malcolm Brogdon. Part of the reason why you don't need Malcolm is because you've got Ant, Shaedon, and Scoot. They're loaded up at guard. So we know that Malcolm is not going to be here long term. So I don't see how starting him now and taking valuable minutes away from Shaedon or Scoot or whoever it is makes a whole lot of sense for the franchise. I'd rather start the youngsters, develop them, and get them up to speed as quickly as possible, because the sooner that process takes place, the better off this team's going to be long term. And as I mentioned before, it's not just Malcolm Brogdon, but there are a number of vets on the roster that will be open for discussion for Joe Cronin. And his job is to continue to stock the cupboard with assets and to find young players as they continue to reshape the roster. That could include Brogdon, Robert Williams. It could include Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle. Take your pick. And then down the road, as we see how Scoot and Shaedon develop, then they could have a bit of an issue when it comes to Anthony Simons and how they want to handle that situation. But long story short, I'm starting Scoot Henderson. I'm not bringing Scoot. I did not draft Scoot number 3 overall to have him come off the bench. I just think that's totally insane, especially with the guy that's got the type of skill set and the demeanor and the abilities that he has. Now, you could. Now, if he's just flat out not responding to coaching, not engaged, not doing the things you want, then you could, pull him and start somebody else, because there has to be consequences for poor play or lack of execution. Like we saw that in the game, I think it was in Detroit, where I think Chauncey Billups, before the half, he pulled both Scoot and Shaedon. He's like, yeah, you guys aren't ready for the moment. And that's good. You need discipline. Players need to have some form of discipline so they know that, look, we're not just going to hand minutes to you no matter what. You got to go out there and earn them. But I've seen nothing from Scoot so far to lead me to believe that he's not engaged, that he's not receptive to coaching, and that he's not deserving of those minutes. And to his credit, after the first 3 games, which were brutal, the last couple of games he's played in before the ankle injury, he's looking better. And what was it that allowed Shaedon Sharpe to develop? He got a lot of playing time, especially towards the end of last year. And that's what I want to see with Scoot as well. Big minutes, opportunities, and then think about the teaching and coaching opportunities for Billups and his staff as they continue to work through that. That's really what it's all about. And we'll go from there. And then I think Tamani Kamara definitely has put himself in a position to get more minutes. But I think what you do, you're not getting much from Matisse in the starting lineup, especially on offense, and this team needs scoring. So at least when Ant comes back, if you have Scoot out there and the game's slowed down and he's in a better position to make an impact, and then you've got the scoring of Ant, and then you've got Shaedon, who can do a variety of different things out there. I kind of like that. Although it's not ideal, because I do believe that Shaedon Sharpe is more of a true 2-guard than he is a small forward. But I want all those guys playing. I want Scoot and I want Shaedon in the starting lineup. That's just the way I think it's got to be. Get them minutes, let them develop, and let them continue to take over the mantle of who's going to lead this team. And then I think Scoot, as the game continues to slow down and with the work that he's putting in, looking at the film and in practice and working with the coaches, I think we're going to see him continue to make those incremental changes. The growth, I think it's going to be there. So that's where I'm at. I'm not bringing Scoot off the bench. It's not happening. To me, I think that's crazy. What, when you drafted him 3 overall, and you're just going to bring him off the bench for a guy that's not going to be here long term? Why? So that's where I'm at on that. All right, let's keep things rolling. We're going to find out one way or the other. We're going to hear from Chauncey Billups, and we'll get his thoughts. Obviously, he's pretty happy with the way the team is, scrapping. And that's the way they've got to play. They got to defend and they got to scrap, because the offense is always going to be a bit of a struggle this year based on, the players that they have. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right, tip-off's coming up at 6. I'm with you until 5. It's game day here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, right now, your Portland Trailblazers are 29th in offensive rating and dead last in three-point shooting. That's fact. So the question is, how do they win? Defense! They're currently 9th in the NBA in defensive rating, and that is a significant jump for a team that's been dismal on that end of the floor now for multiple seasons. Now, it's only 6 games, and the competition they've faced is not exactly top-notch. I'm anxious to see how it's going to look with games coming up against the Kings and the Lakers, but I'm very encouraged by the effort that we're seeing from the guys defensively, by the way the coaches have emphasized it, and then also just having a longer, bigger, more athletic roster where guys are on the floor, more capable of being able to make a difference in that department. So credit to the Trailblazers for their defense. And for this team to be competitive and to win games based on their offense, it's going to require massive, massive work from the players to continue to scrap. They've got to play with energy. They've got to be aggressive, and they can't take possessions off. They got to really get after it to put themselves in a position to hang around and have a chance to win games in the second half. Elsewhere, Scoot Henderson, as I mentioned, during What's the Scoot, he must start when he returns. You don't draft him number 3 overall to come in and come off the bench. Do not give minutes to someone that's not going to be here long-term in front of him. The best way for a player to learn is to be on the floor, playing and getting minutes. And with that, he will develop. And the sooner he gets up to speed, the better off this team and this franchise is going to be. It's absolutely critical. Also, for something that appears to be so important to Commissioner Silver, he has failed the players and the fans by not explaining the NBA in-season tournament because nobody knows what's going on. I have a basic idea of the premise, but the players don't know. The fans certainly don't understand. And the idea of an in-season tournament when no one knows what's at stake and what the purpose of it is ridiculous. So come on, Commissioner. This was your baby. It mattered to you. You're the one that went out and put it into place. So do a better job of explaining why we should care about this, all right? Come on now, Commissioner. It's your thing. It's the NBA in-season tournament. Oh, my goodness. All right, Coach Billups, let's take a listen to Coach following the Blazers' victory Friday over Memphis. And obviously he was happy to get a win and just multiple guys stepping up to make game-winning plays. Here's Coach Billups.
Winning. This is just a hell of a game, man. You know, it's just a hell of a game. Just proud of us. We just stayed together, man. You know, we stayed together. You know, we was down a lot. You know, a lot went against us. I mean, we lose an early challenge. Yeah, I thought we was going to win. Boom, short on timeouts the whole second half. So there were runs that they made that I would normally, you know, try to calm the waters with a timeout. Couldn't do it. Taylor did a great job with his challenges, you know, tonight. I thought it gained them momentum every time. Man, it was, I mean, at the end, shoot 4 straight threes, just kind of, I mean, everything was against us. We just was very connected the whole time and kept scrapping. You know, we kept scrapping. We said that if we did a good job of not turning the ball over tonight, we felt like we would have a good chance in the game. We took care of the ball, you know. That's a gritty, tough, really, really tough defensive team. They make it really tough for you. So there was a lot of good things to take away, and there's a lot of, obviously, improvement areas as well.
Chauncey, bit of a two-parter here. One, you guys are generating free throws at a crazy rate in the last 2 games, particularly against your opponents. Great. So you're getting them while I'm getting them. But offensively, your primary actions are generating much, but your secondary looks are getting you so much more. What do you think is kind of encouraging that?
Well, one, that's what we want to do. We want to be on the attack at all times. You know, we want to get to that free throw line. You know, we want to get as many free throws as we can by just attacking the paint, you know. And then you get teams in the bonus and, you know, they kind of want to shy away, and we want to keep pushing. You know, it's a good way for us to score, especially when we haven't shot it very well. So let's get to the free throw line. The only shot in basketball, nobody can guard you, you know, or even be in front of you for that matter. So let's try to get there. So we've done a good job with that. The initial parts of our offense that you talked about, most good defensive teams are going to take away that initial action, So then it becomes, how do we play when they take stuff away? And I'm always say, when in doubt, get to the paint and just make the right next play. And we've been doing a better job of that.
What did you think of Shaedon's performance tonight, particularly late in the game? It seemed like he came on in the fourth quarter offensively. Obviously got the block to make sure it went to overtime. Another gas play.
Yes, that was definitely a big-time gas play by Shea. I thought Shea was good all night. I really do. He kind of picked and chose when he wanted to kind of handle the ball and pick and roll. I kind of have to force Shea sometimes because he's just so, he's just so nice. You get lost out there sometimes, and I don't like that. We created some situations where we got a matchup that we liked with him in his areas, and he passed it. And so, of course, I'm going crazy on him, and I'm saying, what are you doing? And these young guys, they just sometimes they don't recognize the moment, or why we ran this to get this switch. Bane's in foul trouble. He got 4 fouls, and this is why we're running that, So it just, they don't recognize it, but I thought Shea was good. I thought he was good. He had some lapses defensively where I think he could have been a ton better defensively tonight. But he did good, man. He did good.
Chauncey, you always talk about wanting to, establish an identity with this group, and what does a win like this kind of do towards, building that and establishing that?
Yeah, I think it gives we're showing everybody who we are and how we're going to play, if you will, and that's we're going to play hard and we're going to play together on both sides of the floor, and that's what I want our culture to be, period. We're going to play hard, we're going to play together. And we're willing to go up or down just like that, But I think it gives our guys confidence in what we're doing. I think our fans love how we just grind all the time, It's not, when you have a team that plays with that type of heart and enthusiasm, it's a lot of times not about the letters on the back of the jersey. It's not about star power all the time. It's about guys going out and laying it on the line, and people can get behind that. So that's what we're trying to create, and I think we're doing a really good job so far.
Chauncey, what is it that makes you comfortable putting a rookie on Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Desmond Bane tonight, and Tamani?
Well, he's just a rookie by name. He's not a real rookie. He's a grown-up. He really is. He's a mature. He's an older rookie, if you will, but he's just competitive level. His physicality. Most great defenders are physical, and he plays with that type of physicality. So, in the event of obviously developing and him trying to make a name for himself in the league, the coach has to trust you enough to give you the opportunity to do so. And he continues to rise to the occasion every time.
Bro, you went with him to start the second half instead of Matisse. Is there anything behind that, or is that?
Not really. Bane was kind of rolling. I just wanted a little more physicality on him. Not that Matisse was doing a poor job, but that kid is that's an all-star type of player over there. We just want to give him a different look, And I wanted to change a few things on him defensively in the second half, and I didn't need to as much when I went there. So nothing behind it, nothing changes. Everything is all still the same.
All right, there's Coach Billups following the victory over the Grizzlies. Now, how about that, where he has to get on Shaedon Sharpe, but hey, what are you doing, man? Why are you passing the ball? I'm not sure how many conversations he had like that with Damian Lillard or CJ. But, that's a young player, trying to find his spot, find his place. And, he's young. So he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes. But from what I've seen over the last few games, his teammates trust him. The veterans certainly trust him. And he's got to continue to be aggressive and and look for his spots. Get to his spots and look to make shots. Now, we heard the question about free throw percentage or free throws in general for the Portland Trailblazers. They were 28 of 36 in the game on Friday against Memphis. The Grizzlies just 9 of 13, so they were plus 19 in the game against Memphis. That won them the game, and in the previous game, they were plus 17. So the free throws have been a big difference. And if you're going to be a team that's not shooting a high percentage, attacking and getting into the paint and setting a tone and being aggressive and allowing yourself the opportunity to get to the foul line is going to be critical. So keep doing it. Okay, we'll come back, and then when we do, I want to talk about defense. It's the brightest spot, aside from some of the individuals on the team like Shaedon. This team's playing defense right now. The question is, will it continue against better competition? But through 6 games, the trend is very nice and something that we've been waiting for a long period of time here in Rip City. Defense? Wait a second. You talking about the Blazers? They played defense the other night? Yeah, they're playing defense right now. I know it's stunning. All right, it's game day. Tip-off's coming up at 6 with the Blazers and Grizzlies. Chad doing with you. Appreciate your time on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's talk a little defense right now. The Trailblazers finding ways to win games in an unusual fashion based on what we've seen over the last few years. But this is a brand new team and a new look roster and, just different types of players. And with that, we're seeing better production defensively. The Blazers right now rank 9th in the NBA in defensive rating at 108.4. And during this 3-game stretch against, subpar competition, Portland is first in the category. And if you've listened to the Blazers, they want to be more athletic, long, and defensive-minded with their roster. And we're seeing that so far. So the Blazers, they're getting it done in a variety of different categories. And a lot of credit to the new look roster, but it's nice to have guys like DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams, two long defensive-minded bigs. The Blazers are 9th in opponent turnovers per game, 9th in deflections, tied for 10th in blocks, and Portland ranks 8th in opponent three-point percentage at 33.3%. That's awesome, and that's exactly what you want. And when I talked about the Blazers, the way they're going to need to play, a lot of scrap, grit, effort, use whatever word you want, but, they're not going to get it done with their offense on a regular basis, so they've got to make it a little messy out there. They got to make things a little bit dirty to win. The Trailblazers were able to hold Toronto to 17 points in the fourth, which was good. Detroit in that game a couple of days ago led by as much as 18 before the Blazers held them to 42 points on 37.8% shooting in the second half. So you're seeing them get really good effort from multiple players. The two key guys off the bench defensively have been Tamani Kamara and Jabari Walker. Just their length, their athleticism, their energy, their hustle, the way they're attacking. Those two players have been really a joy for the coaches because when you get that type of buy-in from the youth and you get guys who are playing like that, it's going to make a huge difference, and it certainly has for the Trailblazers. Now, the reason why this is important in Portland, the reason why it's critical for the Blazers to continue to defend like that is the offense. As I mentioned before, next to last in offensive rating, dead last in three-point shooting. So in order for them to continue to have a chance to win, they're going to need their defense. And especially with Ant, it wasn't going to be great with Ant on the floor, but especially without Ant, the shooting numbers just aren't going to be good. Because they're averaging between 42 and 43% from the floor. It's not very good. So, but the hustle and the energy from multiple guys. And I think the other recipe, and I mentioned this before, but if you look at the last 3 wins, the 3-game winning streak, you can't just point to one guy and say, oh, it's Damian Lillard. No. It's everybody. You've got 4 or 5 guys who are making plays, 4 or 5 guys who are making a difference. And they're going to need that, whether it's Tamani Kamara coming off the bench to provide defense, Shaedon Sharpe being a clutch shot maker down the stretch, and also facilitator, setting up his teammates. It could be DeAndre Ayton, who had a career-high 23 rebounds earlier this week. See, what you're getting is just multiple guys who are just doing their part. And I think what's going to happen, too, as time continues on this season, you'll have more guys. You got to remember, too, that this team they're still learning each other, so you don't have a lot of continuity within the roster because the guys haven't played together. And so I think what you're going to see as time continues is that you'll have guys get a better understanding of what they're supposed to do, their role, and they get to a point where they, develop a better understanding of their teammates. And then from that, you'll have better production because guys will click even better. So what I'm hoping is that, they're going to play the Lakers and Kings coming up this week. What I'm hoping is that we'll see the defense continue to be a factor even against the better teams in the NBA. And then as we get later on into the season, that the offense, because of the continuity and the guys having a chance to play together and develop a better understanding of one another, that we'll see some strides on that end of the floor. But I think early on, if you take a look at what the Blazers have done, what they've been able to do, you got to be pretty happy through 6 games because we're seeing progress, or as I've been calling it, the incremental growth in multiple spots and with multiple players. Better structure on offense over the last 3 games. Defense, obviously, the numbers point to a better defensive product, so that's a positive. That's a very good thing. And we're seeing growth from players. Tamani Kamara, we didn't know much about him, and through camp and the preseason and now in the regular season, he's been a difference maker. DeAndre Ayton, when he plays over 30 minutes in a game, he's productive. Shaedon Sharpe answering the call in the starting lineup and has been a big-time playmaker, which is nice. So you're getting this from even Scoot, who struggled the last couple of games, have been better. So, we're so quick to make judgments and to, say this or say that. But the reality is that, it's nice when you get a chance to step back and allow the things to breathe a little bit before you get a better idea of what's going on. Even for Coach Billups, I have my concerns, with Billups and his coaching staff. But, through the first 3 games, people were bitter. But now you let things breathe a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, we're seeing some progress. So that's really the way this year is going to progress. It's a game-by-game, day-by-day, week-by-week situation. And you're going to see some regression and some struggles because of the youth that they're playing. But that's okay. Well, I tell you what, though, Robert Williams, he's not playing big minutes off the bench, but when he does play, that guy, he's a dog. He is a very naughty man, and he plays with evil intentions, and I love that about him. He's terrific. Big fan of what he brings to the table and his effort, really a big fan. And you see the difference, and look what it's like to have Ayton compared to someone like Nurk. Finishes at a higher rate around the rim. He's not a great defender, but, he's making a difference right now. He had the game a couple of games ago, 5 steals. So it's just more athleticism, more length, and you're seeing the production. So it's good. It's good. And that's what you want to see from this team. And you'll probably see something similar to tonight. I could point to like 7 different players who made an impact in that game on Friday in their victory. Jeremy Grant led the team in scoring. DeAndre Ayton, ultra productive. Shaedon Sharpe was a big-time playmaker down the stretch. Malcolm Brogdon was critical with his double-double, 24 points, 10 assists, also contributed 7 boards. Robert Williams, 8 points, 10 rebounds in 19 minutes. Tamani Kamara playing 31 minutes, and he was closing out the game with the rest of the crew. His defense has been a catalyst for this team. So just, pick your spots. But you definitely want to value the defense because the offense is not good right now. The shooting numbers are not good right now. The three-point shooting is awful. And yet they're finding ways to win games partly because of competition the teams are facing, but a lot of it has to do with grit, with the hustle, the energy from the youth, and just a good combination of guys. And I think what's nice now is that you don't really have that true, like cornerstone yet. We're still trying to figure out who that's going to be, whether it's Shaedon or Scoot or somebody else. So you're getting guys to share the basketball. And that's good. When you don't have that one guy that's going to take the majority of the shots, what'll happen is you normally in those situations will get better ball movement, player movement, and more guys involved on the offensive end, which at times can make you much more difficult to defend because you don't know who's going to have the ball. So we'll see how it continues to progress. Okay, when we come back on game day, we'll give you our keys to the game. And don't forget, tip-off's coming up at 6. I'll be back with you following the game tonight from Moda for the 5th quarter. And we'll see how things shake out tonight for the Portland Trailblazers, looking to make it 4 straight and their 2nd straight game against the Memphis Grizzlies after their overtime victory on Friday.
Time for Chad Doing's Keys to the Game, brought to you by Gresham Toyota. At Gresham Toyota, we stand behind our commitment to have the best Toyota pricing in Oregon with our Swickard Price Promise.
All right, the Trailblazers tonight, a couple of keys. One, they've got to continue to stay engaged defensively and make sure that they win the hustle points. That's how this team's got to win because, as I mentioned before, the offense has not been there. And right now you got a team that's really struggling. So if they can get out to a stronger start than what we saw in the game on Friday, I think they can get Memphis to bow out. So start stronger and don't put yourself in a position where you get to fight back. The impressive part about that win on Friday, not just the plays that we saw at the end of the game and into overtime, but it was that 10-point comeback. They were down by 10 with 3:15 to play, and they overcame the deficit to force overtime and get the victory. So start stronger tonight and continue to remind Memphis that they're 0-6 and not playing good basketball right now. Outside of that, depending on the lineup tonight, they're going to need more of their youth, and that's particularly Shaedon Sharpe. He's going to have to play big again tonight. And what I love about Shaedon Sharpe, the teammates trusting him, but when he's out there on the floor, you probably notice this too, but there's a certain calm in which the way he operates. You know, he's not rushed. He plays under control. And I just can't wait to see more and more of him as we continue to push through. And then, you know, it's pretty simple, but get multiple guys to contribute tonight. They're going to need 5 or 6 or 7 guys to step up and make a difference in this game for them to get the victory and make it 4 straight. And then they can feel pretty good about themselves as they head down to Sacramento to take on the Kings on Wednesday. Blazers and Grizzlies coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. I think in a lot of ways with the way Shaedon Sharpe is playing right now, it's taking some of the pressure off of Scoot Henderson. People are so geeked up on Shaedon and the way he's playing that, you know, it allows Scoot to, you know, continue to settle in and learn on the fly. And, you know, he's got the ankle injury, so I would expect him back on Wednesday against the Kings. But I think, you know, people are so excited about the production of Shaedon Sharpe right now that it's taking some of the pressure off of Scoot because people were really panicked after 3 games with the struggles of Scoot Henderson. But that's okay. You know, struggles are going to come with young players. But, man, this emergence of Shaedon Sharpe, it's probably the most exciting thing about the early part of this season. Yes, I love the defense and the fact they're top 10 in defensive rating, but it's Shaedon Sharpe. Teammates trusting him. He's the catalyst down the stretch, and he's making good decisions with the basketball. And the coach is encouraging him to be more aggressive because he's got the ability. He can put the ball on the floor with his strength and attack the rim and get to the free throw line. He'll get better as time goes on with his strength of being able to finish around the rim with contact. But he's got the natural stroke. He can hit the 3, and he plays under control. I love what I see from him. And it's crazy because when the camp got underway and then in the preseason, he struggled. And he seems to struggle more when Anthony Simons is on the floor because I don't think he really knows his role or how to attack when he's got other guys on the floor and understanding the pecking order. And that's where the coaches are going to have to continue to work with him because you got to start him. You got to give him starter minutes. How do you not based on the way he's played? But, man, he responded. In that first preseason game against the Suns, he looked lost. But, man, what a quick turnaround. And then credit to Coach Billups and his staff for making the call. When Anthony went out and we got word he was going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with that surgery to the thumb, they made the decision to start Shaedon. That was a good decision. And the more we look back on it, it was 100% the right thing to do. I'm so glad they did it because now he's on the floor. He's playing in crunch time. He's getting big minutes, but gaining confidence, getting more experience, and emerging as the guy on this roster, which is cool. Yeah, I like the way he rolls. I like the way he operates. Man, I'm pumped on Shaedon Sharpe right now. Now, Tamani Kamara, I love him too. I love the production and the willingness to defend. Same thing with the energy we're getting from Jabari off the bench. But Tamani Kamara is just a pleasant surprise. He's one of those players that was part of the deal. You're not really sure what you're getting, and then you see him, you're like, hey, this guy's interesting. But his work, credit Tamani Kamara for the opportunities he's getting because it's his hard work in practice and then making the most of the opportunities in games, which is allowing him to continue to play and get more minutes. That's on him. Credit to him for the work ethic to put himself in a position to get more minutes, which is great. I love seeing that from young players. He's like, look, no one knows who I am. I'm just going to come in and work my tail off and put pressure on the coaches to put me in games. And I love that. And that is fun to watch. All right, let me give you a little update on what's going on in the NBA with the scoreboard right now. Games that are in action. In Cleveland, the Cavs have a 10-point lead on the Warriors, 84-74 as they near the end of the third quarter. First quarter in Dallas, Hornets lead the Mavericks 17-15. Grizzlies and Blazers coming up at 6. Memphis favored by 3.5. And two finals from earlier today. The Suns over the Pistons 120-106, 41 for Durant. And in overtime, the Raptors beat the Spurs in San Antonio 123-116. Wembanyama had 20 points and 5 blocks in the loss. Scotty Barnes, 30 points and 11 rebounds. And quickly from the NFL, we have one game coming up tonight, Sunday Night Football. Bills are in Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Cincinnati favored by 1.5. Chiefs over the Dolphins, 21-14. Vikings top the Falcons in Atlanta, 31-28. Browns, 27. Cardinals, nothing. Deshaun Watson, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Packers top the Rams, 20-13 in Green Bay. The Commanders beat the Patriots in New England, 20-17. Patriots now 2-7. The Saints top the Bears in New Orleans, 24-17. Ravens ripped the Seahawks 37-3 in Baltimore. Texans edged the Bucks 39-37. The big story here was rookie C.J. Stroud, 5 touchdowns, 470 yards passing. Colts topped the Panthers in Carolina 27-13. Bryce Young, the rookie, with 3 picks in the game. Raiders in their first game without Josh McDaniels hammer the Giants 30-6. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie, 209 yards passing. And the Eagles over the Cowboys in Philadelphia, 28-23 in Philadelphia. An NFL best 8-1 on the season. They are 4-0 at home. And Dak Prescott in the loss, 374 yards and 3 touchdowns. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Big thanks to Michael Shacker. Tip-off is coming up at 6. Trailblazer pregame show is coming up next. And following the game tonight, you can join me here on 620 Rip City Radio for the 5th quarter. We'll break down all the action that takes place tonight. All right, enjoy your evening. Enjoy the game. I'll talk to you on the 5th.